Peter. How are you?
Good, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited that you decided to join me on the show.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. Well, it's been fun to watch you create a vast real estate empire over the many years.
Some big words. I'm not sure how vast or big it is, but it's been fun. It's fun getting out of brokerage. So
yeah. So and you started in brokerage. How did you even get into brokerage?
Would you know I started with your husband in brokerage?
Boy, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, CB Richard Ellis.
Ah.
How I got into brokerage was I was painting houses on Summit Avenue in St. Paul, and the guy I was painting for owned some warehouses right next to Stand Up Frank's, actually.
Oh, nice neighborhood at the time.
And he said to me, Peter, I'll pay for you to get your real estate license if you help me lease some of these warehouses. I said, okay, great. Why not? I was young. I was actually still in kind of fresh. I was a senior in high school.
Really?
Yeah. So I got my real estate license, and I realized that working for this guy as a painter and doing his warehouse opportunities weren't really an opportunity. And a good friend of mine, George Turner, who went to kind of grade school, was older than me, grade school, and he went to St. Thomas Academy. He was a good friend of my older brother, Bill's. He was at CB Richard Ellis. At the time, it was Coldwell Banker Commercial, owned by Sears. And he said, Peter, if you want to get into commercial real estate, you got to come work here. This is the spot. This is the place to be. And that's where I met Reed.
So were you guys both doing database work?
Yep.
Downtown, right?
Yep. Did the summer internship.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. So Reed and I, Roger Christensen.
Oh, right.
And then Kevin O'Neill and Chris Wilson. We were all together at CB Richard Ellis. And, and it was kind of my turn at the data bank. And I got the data bank, and then, that was kind of a job that was a launching pad to get into, being a runner, what we called a broker assistant, which back then we called a runner, because you never knew where you'd be running to or what you'd be doing. So I actually spent just a couple of months in the data bank, probably because I was screwing it up, sending the wrong numbers to Chicago with all the, you guys supposed to do all the vacancy and the absorption and all this. And at the end of the day, I just, who's going to check these numbers, right? 4.6%, the brokers want to hear. So I was fortunate enough to go work for John Allen be his runner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's definitely a legend.
Yeah, John's definitely a legend. I was certainly blessed to have the ability to work for him. I always say that, I was blessed because I got the ability to get into John's head, and John got the ability to have a young guy like me, work day and night for him, and I wasn't scared of work, and so it was a great kind of a apprenticeship, if you will.
So you were doing brokerage at CB.
Yep.
And then what happens after that?
So I was a junior in college at the University of Minnesota, undergrad.
Okay, so you started working for John before you were even done with college?
I started working for John when I was, so really how it went, I was in the data bank, junior year of college.
Oh, okay.
Senior year of college, John said, hey, there's an opportunity for you to get out of the data bank, come work for me. Don Guffey, our regional manager at the time, said, Peter, if to be a runner, you need to have a college degree. We can't hire you full time, you don't have a college degree. And Don Guffey goes, I know you're still in college. And he said, I'm willing to look the other way. If you want this job, you just need to finish your undergrad at night school. So I went to night school.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I worked for John during the day, and it was, days went quick, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then I did, and then John kind of moved on from brokerage, went out on his own, and then I was blessed to. I did one big deal. My first big deal was cold calling, at the desk, like 5 o'clock at night. Only went to the office, and I cold called a guy named Russell Trenholm. I'm sure he's not still alive. He had a eyeglass company, office and warehouse, and he said, find me an office building to buy. So I'm like, okay. So, back in those days, you have a book, and it has all the listings, right? So I looked through the book, and I found this office building that was for sale on 36 in Roseville. And it was a 3-story office building. And I sent it to Russell, and he goes, let's go look at it tomorrow. So we went and looked at it. Jerry Dreesen had the listing. And Russell's like, this works. We negotiated. He goes, I'm going to buy this building. Now, I had no idea how to sell a building or broker a building. And this Russell, I think, caught on to that early on. But Jerry was great, protected my commission. I got a big commission check. And that, when you're able to do that, you will live the next 12 to 18 months and really not be dependent on other brokers and things like that. So that kind of launched me.
And it lights a fire, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a taste of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
Right.
This is great. This is great. I always say commercial real estate, commercial real estate is like no other career, where every day you can wake up and you don't know. I mean, you can go and swing for the fences. You may hit a grand slam that day because you may find a Russell Trenholm that's going to say, hey, I need to buy an office building. Go find one. I get at that time, I probably made $300,000, which was huge in 1990. So it's great. And, sky's the limit. Just it's how hard you want to work. So what's the next question?
All right, so you're living off of that commission for the next several months, and
Yep.
You're still at CB.
Still at CB, and I'm a big believer in education, and I wanted to get my law degree. My dad had his law degree. My brother had his law degree. None of them either practiced law, but I knew it was such a good degree. But my grades weren't the best in undergraduate at the U. I had a little too much fun at SAE House. So to get to law school, I had to get my grades up. And one way to do that is go to graduate school. So I went to MBA school. It was the first class downtown Minneapolis. I was working down there at CBRE. So I went down there, got my MBA in finance. And that was like 2.5 years. And all still working during the day, doing commercial real estate, being a broker. And then I applied for law school. And, it's not easy to get into law school. You got to take all those tests before the LSAT and then apply. And I remember they had an interview. You could elective do an interview to get in to see, with the guy who, admits you, the admittance office. So I remember sitting down with this guy. And the first thing I said to him, I said, you know what, sir, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be your valedictorian here, the class or whatever, in 4 years. I said, and I said, I'm probably not even going to practice law, but I'm going to bring a lot to the class. I've been out of school. A lot of these kids go right from undergrad to law school. But I've been out of school. I've been in the real world. I can bring a lot to class. I can learn a lot. I'm going to follow this through. He said, I can see that. He said, I can see that, you want to make something of yourself, and you're going to put this practice, which you're going to learn, into practice, not in the law field. And in law school, it's interesting to watch going through law school, knowing you're not going to practice and seeing all these, because it's a business. Law school is a business like any other. They got to fill the quota every year. We don't need all these lawyers to be produced every year. So like junior into senior year, these law school students are getting told from these schools that there is alternatives to law. Like you can use your degree somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, look at this, right? They tell you got $200,000 and $300,000 in debt, right? And all of a sudden you're saying, if you're not in the top 25% of your class, you're not going to get a job.
Really?
Yeah, and that's just a fact.
Wow.
So I saw it from afar and I go, this is such a kind of a sham, right? It's they should cut back on the number of admittance or what have you. But anyways.
But it also there needs to be a certain level of cream going to the top, because you can't decide day one who's going to do the work and who's going to,
Yeah, who's going to be. And they do these clerkships and things like that. It's a coveted job, and it's difficult to find good Get with a good law firm to get to partnership is kind of what you do. Anyways, I had no interest in any of that. I knew day one I want to be in commercial real estate, and I knew I wanted to own real estate.
Really?
I knew brokerage was just a conduit for getting from means to an end, and I wanted ownership, and that got more emboldened in me working for John Allen and seeing what he accomplished through ownership.
Yeah, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so did you really get a law degree?
Yeah, I went and got my law degree at William Mitchell, and
I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, and then I passed the bar.
Wow.
Never practiced, but yeah.
But I mean, you have to deal with that knowledge and that way of thinking every single day.
Totally agree. It's difficult to quantify how much the degree helps you, but it certainly helps me. I, read a ton of leases, a lot of purchase agreements, and I'm very confident in knowing what I know and knowing what I don't know, and knowing how to, use our wonderful attorneys to, get us through that. But yeah, no, it's a great degree, and it's difficult. Law school is difficult. That's a serious decision to make. You just don't go say, I'm going to law school, because I saw a lot of people drop out. Saw a lot of marriages, go the wrong way. It's very, very, grueling, long endeavor.
So what's the first building you bought?
The first building I bought was probably Midway Center Westgate, that or Tech East. But I think it was Midway Center Westgate, which is a building, 953 Westgate Drive, off of 280 and Cretan Vandalia. Great building, had some vacancy, bought it at a great price, just sold it, probably owned that building close to 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, released it up.
And how did you find it, and why that building? Is there a story there?
I probably got a better story for you than this one, but this one was marketed. Tom Holtz from CB had it on the market, and I knew Flex, and I knew industrial real estate, and I knew I could lease this building, and I knew it had some vacancy, so there was some opportunity to add some value. So we bought it, went and raised money. I had to go raise money. I always said in brokerage, and you saw this so much, being a broker, and Lisa, you see this, and you have so much knowledge, right? You got the tenant, and you got the landlord, and you got the vacancy, and you bring the tenant to the space, and you show them the market, and you tell them this is a market rate, and the landlord's looking for you to make sure it's market rate. Then you fill the building, and you get paid your fee, and the landlord gets a nice 8-10 year lease with great NOI, and then the landlord goes and sells the building and makes another X amount, and there's a brokerage fee there, and that's just pittance of the overall transaction. And I always say, the broker's the one with all the knowledge, right? And I said to myself early on, I've got the knowledge. They're all looking at me for the information. I know the market. I know what a good building to buy, which is not a good building to buy. I know where the tenants are, how to lease it. Only thing I don't have
is money.
Is equity, right? Yeah, true. I mean, I could find the debt. Yeah, find a good building and find the debt. Right. I just got to find the equity. And so we went to great lengths to find equity. We had at one time probably 150 limited partners following us. We do quarterly newsletters. Did a radio show to help raise money. And the longer you do it, and if you do a good job at it and have a good track record, money starts to find you. And
those first deals have to be really hard.
Yeah, $25,000, $50,000 increments. Now it's much higher. But yeah, and through the years, having limited partners has been rewarding. At times, a little challenging. A rewarding example is we developed this building over in Hudson, Wisconsin, and one of the investors was the attorney on the deal, and it was kind of a coupon clipper, right? It was a single tenant building, and we just kick out monthly distributions to our partners, and we had probably 12. And one time, this lady, we'll call her Janice, calls me. She says, Peter, my name is Janice, and Janice Johnson. And she says, I keep getting this check from you every month, and it's been going on for over a year now. And I don't know why you're sending me this check. And I cash it. And I don't know if there's another one going to come, but they keep coming. And what's this all about? And I said, well, Janice, that's from, HP Group, and, your husband, Mike, right? Mike Johnson. Mike passed over a year ago. Wow. And this money just keeps coming.
She had no idea what.
No idea.
What it was for.
And then anyways, that continued for probably another 4 or 5 years. And then I called her, and she put me in touch with her son to help with the finances. And then I called and I said, Janice, we got a big check coming for you now because we're going to sell the building. And then she called with tears, crying, saying this is just one of those memorable days. And thank God for Mike, she kept saying, for my husband for doing this, and it's allowed us to live on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
And then on the other side of the note,
there's
the other side of the note, I get my high school buddies, to invest in the deal. You're crying a little bit.
Well, that was so sweet.
Really good. Well, I'm glad it was impactful. So on the opposite side, I went to St. Thomas Academy, and I got, of course, St. Thomas Academy friends and Cretan friends. And of course, one of my Cretan friend calls me up, right? I'll never forget this. He goes, Morker, I got to get out of that deal we're in. I'm like, we'll call him Paul. I go, okay, Paul. All right. Well, listen, this is how it works, man. We got to find someone to buy you out. And if I kind of get first look and if you and I don't agree on the price, then you can go offer it to whoever else you want, and it's not like you trade this thing over the NASDAQ, right? And he says, Morker, you don't understand. I need the money by Friday. I'm like, oh, Jesus, Paul. Okay. So anyways, all right, Paul, I'll cut you a check, and then I'll go find someone else to buy it out for me. So, you get both spectrums, And,
wow. But
having a lot of limited investors is certainly taxing. You got to kick out the K1s, the newsletters. And, I have got so blessed with such a wonderful company and so many great employees. And these visions bring me back to Stacy Katnacker and, weekends putting K1s together back in the office, and then going down to Ruth Chris to have a hoo-hoo and a little piece of steak or what have you to, pay back for all the long hours that she would put in, helping me with all this.
Yeah, how long has she worked with you?
She told me the other day, I'm shocked, 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are like family.
We are. We're like brother and sister.
Yeah.
We'll start screaming at each other, and it's nice.
She's awesome.
Yeah, we get through it and cool down and get back to work. But yeah, it's great. Again, it's like family. They all are like family to me.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Do you, I always think it's such a big responsibility to invest with other people's money and making sure the deals work. Do the deals ever not work?
Great question. I've always said I disdain raising money. I don't like asking for money. I don't like going to friends and family and saying, hey, invest with me. This is going to be great. In 10 years, we're going to double your money. You're going to get monthly distributions and things like that. Because if it doesn't work out, right, it's people you know and you love and you care. So I don't like it at all. But I believe so much in what we're doing and the fact that I need it. Nowadays, we do more institutional equity, so I'm not doing a lot of limited raises. But do they ever not work out? Thankfully, I've never had anything that no one has not gotten paid back their principal.
That says a lot.
I've had to turn off distributions.
Sure.
For distributions or monthly, for your audience, monthly distributions to our limited investors. I've had to turn them off for a period of time. I have some turned off now in some of our flex real estate we own that you never think would have vacancy, but for COVID and what that whole flex market's been affected by that. And and that's challenging to set out, those letters. And then they ask, well, when's it going to be turned back on? Well, when we fill the space, but we got to save money for TIs and commissions and vacancy prep. But a long time ago, this is kind of something I learned, I always remember. An older gentleman said, Peter, if you want my money, you want me to give you money, 4 things I need. 1, I need you to invest alongside me. I said, okay, cool. He said, also, I need a sunset clause. I need to know when I'm going to get my money back, right? And then he said, I also don't want you to participate in cash flow until I've gotten all my money back, right? Which is interesting, right? Because you get 15% for putting the deal together, but I don't get to participate in that until he gets all his principal back.
So that's set aside, but you don't.
Yeah, as soon as.
So it's part of the deal, but.
Yep.
But what about your principal then? Is your principal, you can get your principal back?
Yep, I can get my principal back, but the general,
the profit,
yeah,
so to speak.
Yeah, and then the last thing was, he said, I want you to have a no cash call provision in anything I invest in. So I'll give you my initial investment, right? And if I lose it, I lose it. But I don't want you calling me back 6, 9, 12 months later and saying, hey, Joe, I need another $1 million from you, because that ain't going to happen. And I lived by those 4 principles, and everyone understands those 4 principles. I'm going to co-invest right alongside you. I'm putting money into this deal. I got skin in the game, right? I'm going to give you back your money. It's a period of time. I'm not going to touch for putting this whole deal together. I'm not going to touch that money, that percentage of ownership, until you get all your money back, right? And then, no, I'm not going to come back to you asking for any more money. So you got to, people understand that, right? Let's not do waterfalls and IRRs and all this stuff. Their eyes gloss over. Just make it simple. So that's really helped.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to look at an existing building and run the numbers and understand the market, and it's a whole nother thing to develop.
Yeah.
So when did you decide that was going to be a good idea?
Still deciding, right? Well, Lisa, you know the business, right? And when you're in the business and surrounded by the business and feel that we just do industrial real estate, right? And we feel like we do industrial real estate very well. We understand it. We understand a good building from a bad building. We know how to lease space. We're brokers. I was a broker for almost 30 years. And then you have these other developers, even out-of-state developers, come into your market and put up these beautiful buildings, and they lease up, and they have a 150, 200 basis cap spread, and they exit it 18 months later and make, a nice return. And you're like, well, we can do that, right? I necessarily may not know all the intricacies of building a building, but I can find a good developer. But I know where to put this building. I know if you tell me I'm going to put this building in this location, if it will lease or not. And we got relationships in the market. We know the folks who are selling the land. We know the good contractors in town. We know great TI guys. We know the market. We know the tenants out in the market. We know how strong the market is, how low the vacancy rate is, and how the absorption's so strong, and the expectation of new constructions, falling off. And it just made natural sense for Capital Partners to start Capital Partners Development.
And when did you do that?
I would say 2.5 years ago, probably.
It's that fresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long. We built 600,000 square feet in the Twin Cities. And then, the metrics of the market has changed, but we're probably, I would say, 80% leased on that product type on our new construction. We are building about the same amount in Southwest Florida. We right now have 2 buildings up, 208,000 square foot buildings, and they just got completed.
And they're beautiful.
Oh, yes, you've seen them, right? Yeah, you brought a prospect our way. Thank you for that. And one's fully leased already.
Yeah, that's great.
So it is great. It's rewarding. It's a lot more risk. It's a lot easier to go buy an existing building with tenants in place, right? Than than take the risk on new construction and all that gets involved in that.
Well, and the timing, and it takes so long.
Yeah.
And for you to tackle it in Florida is even, I think, a little more challenging than Minnesota.
Yeah.
In different ways, probably.
Yeah, but you know what? You go in and study the market, right? Mm-hmm. And if you study the market and realize the market, and you're prepared, do your homework, then you can make a educated decision on it.
Yeah, and where you are down there, that's where all of the industrial growth is. I mean, it's high. It's
it's great.
It's in great demand.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
So what's next? What's your next challenge? I mean, once you get this whole development thing all figured out and it's so easy, and then you got to try something even harder. What would that
be? Sell it all, I think. Probably that's gonna be the tough part. Yeah. People always ask me, Peter, how long are you going to do this? Do you like it? What else? What other markets do you want to go in? I think right now we don't want to deviate from what we do well.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's where a lot of people get into trouble when they go start doing retail or office or something like that. So we're going to stay in the industrial sector. We're going to continue to buy existing portfolios of real estate or one-off opportunities. We just bought a beautiful building from Opus. They just built it and wanted to sell it, and it just made sense for us to buy it. We're easy to work with. I think we're really easy to work with, and I think Opus experienced that. We make it easier for people to transact with us. We make it easy for people to do leasing with us. We try to make the brokers, I always say, right? Pay commissions right away. That's so important, and be a broker-friendly shop. Because I see so many shops that aren't. Mm-hmm. I think we want to continue development in places that make sense. I got obviously a wonderful, Jason Simic. I got a wonderful partner in Jason Simic, and thankfully he and I see eye to eye on really most everything, and we got some great checks and balances as well. Kind of, so it's good. Yeah. And it's nice to have a partner, right?
It is.
Especially in development, just to honestly talk through it, and it's good. It's not like one person ever wants to do anything, the other person doesn't, right? And I think if that ever occurred, we'd both say no,
Sure.
So it's great. So it's wonderful to have a good team. And I need to give a shout out to my wonderful property managers, Stacy and Kelly and Becca and Maria. I mean, we've got 4 property managers, right? They're all best in class, and they're managing so much more real estate than really any other property manager out there in the Twin Cities. At times a multiple, I would say, of 10 factor. It's great, and they're always. We run a lean shop, and Jason and I and Kevin are always looking for new opportunities, and we'll come to the Monday morning meetings at 8 a.m. and say, hey, we're chasing this and that. And you can just see it, the look in their eyes, going, oh, here we go, here we go. We're just blessed to have a wonderful office, a wonderful team, wonderful support. Ronnie Patzer's been with me for 30 years. He's kind of was in the shadows for a long time, where he was at CB Richard Ellis. But I mean, the knowledge and experience Ronnie Patzer has, and then we brought Linda over, Hesmanite, from CB Richard Ellis as well. Just that talent is, I mean, I'd need 15 Ronnies to replace a Ronnie, right? And same with Linda, it's great, and it's fun, and it's rewarding. So I think we're going to continue doing what we're doing.
How do you find deals? I mean, I know you have great relationships, et cetera, but I mean, it's finding a deal that makes sense, I guess, is the extra caveat to that. I mean, it's tough to find product, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough to find product, and the good product is going to be listed by, the Judd Wellivers, Bentley Smiths, the Dave Bergen, Colin Ryans, Avery Ticers of the world. So those guys are going to get the cream of the crop, and so it becomes competitive, and really it's getting good debt at the end of the day. If you can get good debt, if your debt's 75 basis cheaper than the competitor's debt, you get better terms, a little more IO, things like that, then you can get, you can creep up there on price. So it's also having a good reputation. Everyone can look at a deal, but at the end of the day, the brokers and the sellers know who's going to retrade you and who's not. Mm-hmm. And we're not a group to go retrade. So when we say we're going to buy a deal, we're going to buy a deal. Unless something unforeseen to us, we can't really control.
Crazy,
yeah. So finding the deals, everyone knows we're deal junkies, right?
Yeah.
So given that, we get seen a lot of deals, a lot of off-market deals, which is fun.
Yeah.
And we want to begin, it's just doing the simple things right. We want to be easy to work with. We want to, broker brings us an off-market deal. They know they're going to get paid. And I always say, listen, they always say, listen, I got an off-market deal for it. And one of the first things they say is, how much do you want as a fee? And then they'll tell me like 4% or whatever. I said, because I got to model it, right? I'm going to put in your 4%. And I tell you what, I'm not going to come back to you and say, I'll buy this deal, but your fee can only be 2%. That happened to me a ton of times in brokerage, right?
Totally.
And the landlord comes back or the buyer goes, oh, I'll do that deal, but you got to cut your fee in half. Just boils my blood.
Yeah.
I'm the one bringing you the deal, and now you're trying to take advantage of the situation at the end of the, at game time. So I always tell the brokers, you bring me a deal, tell me what your fee is, and I'll tell you if I can do the deal or not. But I'm not going to say I can do the deal and you have to cut your fee. I'll say I can't do the deal, and this is why. And you make the decision.
Right.
But it never comes to that, really. We're always usually able to pay the fee, and as long as it makes sense, right? You know how it is. It's just having a good reputation.
Yeah. I mean, it all comes around, right?
Can I tell them I'm drinking tequila with you? We're gonna edit it.
It's open game. I'm all. It's about being honest,
it's
right?
Being honest. I didn't expect it, right? I didn't ask for it. You had a nice sitting here for me, a nice little Yeti cup, and I said, "Hell yeah, let's go."
It is 6 a.m.
No, it's not. I've already played hockey today with my nephew Billy and got my workout in. So,
yeah.
And it's in the afternoon.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So going back to debt, you said finding good debt.
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks to finding? I mean, debt's a big issue right now.
Did my nephew call you before this and say you got to plug something in for me? Do you know my nephew, Billy?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Then I believe you now.
All right.
Because he'd definitely do that. I used to source my own debt on my deals. I'd call my, Dan Poppy. He's been my broker when he was at Excel, BMO Harris, and then Bridgewater Bank. And, when you have a good banker that knows, just really knows you, right? That's wonderful. And I owe a lot to Bridgewater Bank and Dan Poppy throughout the years for giving me good debt terms, giving me debt terms that I could convince the seller that I can transact, right? Here is proof, right? Here's a term sheet that I've executed with, for example, Bridgewater Bank or Crown Bank or Gateway Bank, and that goes a long way. And you have someone to believe in you, and so that's wonderful. Today, to get really aggressive debt, you need to use a debt broker, in my belief. And my nephew, I go to my nephew, Peter Mork. He's at JLL, and he's been in the business for a handful of years. He was Cushman and Wakefield before that, and now he's at JLL with his buddies over there, which is a great shop downtown Minneapolis, where the Four Seasons is. And they bring so much value because when we're buying real estate now, it's usually just not one building; it's a portfolio of buildings.
Sure.
So we can look at institutional debt as well, right?
Right.
And regional debt and local debt, and I just don't have the time to go make 100 phone calls. So they put the books together. They'll lay out the opportunity, and they'll send it off to all these different institutions, and then they get their pricing back, and then they matrix it, and it's kind of a who can give me the best deals based on all these different factors. So debt's really important.
And on the equity side, do you raise funds and then find the deals, or do you find the deals and then raise the funds?
We find the deals and then raise the funds.
Okay.
And we're blessed now to have probably 4 to 6 strong equity partners that we've transacted with multiple times. They know us, we know them, and we can bring them, opportunities. We've looked as big as $350 million portfolios that we go to these groups. They're out of New York and California, and you bring them, and they know us, right, which is wonderful, and we operate it, so we're kind of the boots on the ground, right? And so they'll swing the big equity check, right? And they're kind of a limited partner, sits in the back. We manage it with our wonderful management team. So that's tough too, right? These guys are, we got a wonderful group out of Cincinnati that does a lot of work for us as well. And they got to get to know you, and you got to get to know them. And it's not, I have one group to respond to, right? Just one company versus 150 limited partners that invest in a deal, right? So it's a lot less questions, but it's a lot more sophisticated questions. And it really
interesting
brings you up a level, right? That it makes you be in the top of your game, because these folks are always on the top of their game.
Interesting.
It really is. It really is. We're buying a portfolio in Milwaukee that we just went hard on. 900,000 square feet right by the airport. It's great. We haven't bought it yet, but we plan to. But the due diligence that our equity partner did on this, and right next to us the whole way, tenant interviews, physical due diligence, down to the painting bids and the roofs. I'm like amazed, because usually we just do all this and then present it to our equity partner. Go, here's the deal. This is, we need new roofs for $1 million, and the paint job's gonna be $600,000, and here's all the capitals. But they fact check everything, and it was impressive.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. And where are they raising their equity from?
It's funny, yeah. Right? Where's the money really coming from?
Right.
That's what I want to know.
Right.
A lot of it's, pension funds. A lot of it's endowments. A lot of it's sovereign wealth. And a lot of times they'll buy on balance sheet and then go raise the money after to these groups, or they have already got a fund, together, whatever, $500 million, and they got to deploy that over the next 3 to 5 years, and they got to get money out the door.
Right.
So it's kind of all right. I mean, everyone's pushing everyone, right?
Right.
Peter, go find us an opportunity. We get money out the door and bring them an opportunity, and they scrutinize it extensively.
Yeah, I mean sounds like a good place to invest your dollars, because not everybody is quite that detailed.
Yeah, totally agree. I would certainly impressed with them, and I understand why all these these large companies and as I mentioned, endowments and teachers fund. One of our investors has the California Teachers Retirement Fund. I mean, just think how big that fund is, right? I mean, so they got to put their money somewhere, right? And they invest with this group, and they're very wonderful people, and they protect it.
Well, did you see this path when you were painting buildings next to stand-up frames?
I waited for the rain to show up so I could go into stand-up frames. I had a lot of fun in that bar.
I had a little bit of fun in that bar too.
Did you? Yeah, you remember those days, right? Yeah, stand-up Franks was great.
We lived downtown, and we'd venture over there. Yeah. I don't think they had mixed, did they? I mean,
I don't think they did either.
It was stand-up Franks, because it was just solid booze.
Yeah. I remember reaching over the bar to grab ice to put more ice in my drink because there was no water or anything like that. Right. And boy, did I get yelled at. Bartender did not like the fact that I wanted to dilute my drink.
Some things change and some things stay the same.
Exactly, right? So your question was, did I envision where I am today from where I was painting a building? I looked at my high school yearbook recently, and my caption was something like, what do you envision you're going to be in 20 years or what have you? And I was something like, I'm going to be a salesman. I'm going to be in business. I wanted to always be in sales. I always wanted to control my own destiny. I never wanted to go work for a desk job at 3M, for example, right? And that's kind of why I focus so much on education, because I needed the pillars. I needed the pillars of finance and law. And if you combine that with hard work, good ethics, and if you got the drive, and I knew I wanted to do it in real estate, I was so blessed when I was in the data bank back then that John Allen chose me, and I didn't go with, an office broker, because I'd be in the office market. And look where the office market is today. And I couldn't be going and buying office buildings, or if I did, I'd have lost it all. And you wouldn't be here talking to me today. You wouldn't want to.
That would make a good story, too.
Yeah, it would be depressing. I'd have 2 tequilas sitting next to me. So, yeah, I knew I had the drive. I knew I wanted to be in some sort of sales. And, not going to deny it. I'm motivated to make money.
Yeah.
I always say, if you can't do what you want to do that day, if you got to get up in the morning and you can't go boating, for example, or duck hunting, things like that, or go play tennis or ice hockey, whatever you want to do, if you got to go to work, and if you got to spend your time going to work, well, then maximize that time to be successful at work, so you can go do those other things when you can want to later in life. And some people don't have that vision, right? Some people are absolutely wonderful. They are our teachers and our policemen and our politicians and things like that, and they're doing the greater good, and God bless them, right? They're certainly better people than me. So,
well, I don't know about that, but
thank you.
I really appreciate your taking time out of your work and play to tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and kind of really inspire us to kind of go after what we want.
Lisa, it was an enjoyment. Thank you so much for having me. It was great seeing you, and you learned something about your husband you didn't know.
Yeah,
you work together,
there you go,
right? So
right?
say hello to Reed as well.
We've known you longer than I even thought.
Yeah, right. That's why I love him so much. He's a great guy, and you're down in Florida with us, so that'll be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Good times ahead.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was